Peace, true peace. Happy holy day, peacemakers. About to get started here in a second. Pinning the link to the top of the room. Turning on our meditation music for the night. First thing first, I want to give honors to the divine creator. Say two people here with me. I can't see you. Greetings, Michelle. How are you? Welcome. This is branch temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a global branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed that they may learn to love instead of hate. We want you all to come link yourself with the family of nations. We're going to jump right into our divine supplication for today and then our daily affirmations. But like I say, first thing first, we're going to give all honors to the divine creator. Whatever name you want to make reference to the divine creator as. So many names that people use: God, Elohim, Yahweh, etc. But we want to kick tonight off with our honors. So we want to give honors to the divine creator. We want to give honors to the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. We want to give honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Honorable Marcus Garvey. We want to give honors to the original staff of the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and all those that were around at the time. We want to give honors to all the leaders that came after the prophet, people such as C.M. Bey, H.I.M Bey, Clarence 13X with the gods and goddesses. We want to give honors to people like Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger, your Malcolm X's, your Martin Luther Kings, all your ancestors that came and paved the way. Any ancestor that you want to give acknowledgement to and high honors, feel free to. I want to give honors to everyone that'll be here in participation with us here tonight as we enjoy our holy day. I want to give honors to all things indigenous, all things Moorish. With that, we're going to jump right into this divine supplication, y'all. Oh, Heavenly One, we begin our present thinking by using the all first. Let's get that acknowledged. But, oh Heavenly One, the Most High, who is sustainer of all the worlds, we do accept the duty you have laid on us to clean up the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. Oh, my sustainer, we beseech you to keep your hand over us, to control the strings of the courses of our lives. Our sustainer, and if we do wrong, please show thy divine blessings and forgiveness on us. You are the only one that can raise us, true followers of the news bearers, and in thy name we carry on. So we're going to jump right into our 19 affirmations. This also will be on YouTube after we finish here tonight. So if you all want to come back, listen to the replay, feel free to either play it here or go to YouTube. Just type in my name on YouTube or type in World Temple. It should pop up. And anyone that would like to come on stage, for those that'll be coming back listening to the replays also as well, just click that block of words at the top that say World Temple. Go ahead and join us. Join the house, because now Clubhouse has switched from clubs to houses. So there will no longer be clubs here. There will actually be houses on Clubhouse. With that, we're going to jump right into our 19 affirmations. Our daily affirmations, which you should be reading with your family. You can get a copy of that if you stick around later on. I'll be pinning the school link to the top of the room. That way you can join and enroll in the school that we have as a temple, which each temple should have something of the sort. But we're trying to establish this, or we're working, I ain't gonna say trying, we're working to establish this as a free national standard for all the temples everywhere. So let's jump right into these 19 affirmations. Also leave your questions in the chat as well too. Don't want to forget that. If you got any questions, leave them in the chat. That way we can get those questions answered. And like I said, if you also want to come on stage, especially those that are coming in listening to the replays, we are here on Clubhouse, the Clubhouse app. You just go to your Play Store, download it, or your Apple Store and download it and join us. Click that block of words at the top that says World Temple, or search World Temple first, and then click that block of words at the top if you're in the room or you're listening from YouTube. Join us and feel free to raise your hand and I'll bring you up to the top of the room. But yeah, let's jump right into these 19 affirmations, y'all. We are officially doing our parliamentary opening for this evening. These affirmations are called the daily affirmations of loyalty of the children of the Elohim and what we accept as fact. So as it states, we accept this fact, the eternal laws of nature as revealed through science, past events, logic, and common sense, revealed as right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. We accept this fact, the highest laws of nature is the cooperation and harmony of all living things. We accept this fact, our way of life as a means to the best end. We accept this fact that loyalty is the greatest of all honors and treason is the worst of all crimes. We accept this fact that what is good for the Holy Tabernacle is the highest virtue, and what is bad for the Holy Tabernacle is the ultimate evil. We accept this fact that the Holy Tabernacle is the finest and noblest organization for all humanity, created by circumstances, and the ancient and mystic order of Melchizedek is the noblest of fraternities on and above this planet. We accept this fact that creativity, love, and cooperation are the essence of success. We accept this fact that truth and facts are always and has always been the originator and creator of all success. We accept this fact that all worthwhile cultures and civilizations came about from the ancient Sumerians and Kamite Egyptians and the Anunnaki or Elohims from the heavens, without which there would be none. We accept this fact that for the Holy Tabernacle to survive, expand, and advance, we need first of all a revolution of values and thoughts, which must start within each person by being truthful with themselves and about themselves. Therefore, we completely and categorically reject all myths, fictions, religions, and lies that have not been proven. That would include your heavens, your hell, your hellfire and brimstones, your horn and pitchfork devils, your winged angels, and your old man God character sitting on a throne up there somewhere. We deal strictly with facts. If you can't prove it, we don't want to hear it. That doesn't mean we won't listen to you. Just don't expect us to accept your beliefs by virtue of a title such as Reverend, Pastor, Deacon, Imam, Sheik, Rabbi, Minister, Theologian, etc. That is your sensationalism, and we deal with just the facts. We accept this fact that the only true revolution is a war of good against evil, right against wrong, fairness against unfairness, loyalty against disloyalty, sincerity against insincerity, honesty against dishonesty. And this war is fought within each person among the agreeable and disagreeable Elohims that make up your willpower. We accept this fact that the unity of our community and its success will only happen with cooperation. We're all involved. We accept this fact, the total unification of all humanity on the basis of truth, that is, accepting people and races for who and what they are, respecting their culture, their languages, and their beliefs, and expect the same. We accept this fact that the human race's biological and cultural heritage is now under attack by our own morals, our self-righteousness, our desire to control industry, and these things attack the very existence of humanity. We accept this fact that males as well as females are equal in all things and should be dealt with as partners in all matters. We accept this fact that no one race of people is better than the other. In fact, no one wins the race in racism. We accept this fact that communication between different people is the cure to the ignorance that breeds the disease hate. We accept this fact that a good and well-rounded education could prevent most of the ignorance that plagues the world. We accept this fact that the all is just that. The all, you can't take from the all, you can't add to the all. We are all within the all as one. That is our concept of what you call a deity. To the fulfillment of these facts, we children of the Elohim forever pledge our lives, our sacred honor, and our spiritual zeal. All right, so I'm going to share the room. Share the room. Happy holiday, peacemakers. And we're going to jump right into our Moorish prayer and our divine constitution. But I hope everyone is enjoying a holy day today. All right. Got one more share here, and then we're gonna be jumping right into our divine constitution and bylaws. Give me a second here so I can share the room. I know Sister Michelle came through, but I didn't see who that was that was also in the room as well. One more share here. Then we're gonna be jumping into our divine constitution and bylaws. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do that. Y'all know how I go: 2 fingers up, 5 fingers up, facing the east, feet at a 45-degree angle. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Zabuwr. Amen. All right, y'all. So we're gonna jump right into the divine constitution and bylaws, as it states. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All means are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Zabuwr, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Zabuwr, through the guidance of his father God Allah. All right, y'all. So we're going to jump right into our weekly readings for the week. As we open up here with chapter 25 of the Holy Qur'an, circle 7, called the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, which we read here, starting out the weekly readings every week. Y'all. So let's jump right into our weekly readings. And as it states, ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother had given you suck. That the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. So that message couldn't be rung loud enough. It needs to be rung more and more every day. Understanding that it is the unity that we should be striving for. Collaboration rules a nation. Say competition brings about our own demolition, our own self-destruction. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and jump into chapter 47 and 48 so we can open up with this week's message. Chapter 47 is called Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. And it reads, the inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family was second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Amexem, the first true and divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and the son. The dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren, who sovereign from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across Great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the Great Atlantic Ocean. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. And also the Niger River was dredged by the great Pharaoh of Egypt in those ancient days for trade, and it extends eastward from the river Nile, westward across the great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, or colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the Holy Land of Canaan. What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who was able to change man from the descendant nature of his forefathers, unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Uniting of the Moorish Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meeting and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before that great and awful day that is sure to come. The time has come when every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery, due to the fact that they honor not the creed and principles of their forefathers. That is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the word Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America, who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe, of whom they knew nothing. True peace. So we strayed into foreign territory. That's like chasing to be fed by bad chemicals. It's not being indigenous to a certain state and lifted and being put into a new environment, which you gotta learn to grow in. That's totally different from being fed chemicals that are not healthy for you and trying to grow in that environment. And I'm basing that on an analogy that I heard from Pastor T.D. Jakes, which was a great analogy about being indigenous to a certain state, certain places, and then being unrooted from that place to be rooted somewhere else. New land, fresh territory to yourself. And which is what happens with a lot of us in our growing stages. So we're going to jump right into chapter 48, called The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. As it states, the last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways, to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days, to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah, and his name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming prophet who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam. His name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father God Allah. The Moorish Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive the charter, the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc., that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of man under love, true peace, freedom, and justice. We as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion. because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah: honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah had given thee. Come, all ye Asiatics of America, and hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights, because you're not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We're trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourself with the family of nations. We honor all true and divine prophets. Islam. So we're going to jump right into tonight's message. First thing first, I want to give acknowledgement to all the holy instructions that the Prophet left us. Instructions on charity, the instructions to our young men, the instructions of insufficiency of knowledge. There's many instructions that the Prophet left us that we want to acknowledge coming out of the Circle 7 Holy Qur'an. So tonight, I want to take us further deeper into what was talked about last week. Which we discussed about the oppressions within our own genders and relationships as a people, because this ties into what we talked about at the end of, right around the end of last year and the beginning of this year, with the prejudice and things like that we have against ourselves, things that are holding us back as a people. And solely, it's the same cycle over and over again. Our people have no direction. And you find the same cycle being repeated over again with this younger generation for someone who's been able to watch 2 decades pass by now and see the cyclic nature of our people and the purpose for their movements. Tonight, I want to touch on the fact that, well, Spirit told me to touch on the fact that we have been left with many of examples. Many examples. Many examples of how not to get caught in today's time, not just today's time, but any day's time, whether it's the past or now, the religious controversy of that time. So I want to go ahead and read this from the Prophet. The Prophet states, Allah has sent us a prophet and sent him in time with a holy message which is divine. He came to let the Asiatics of America know they are of the ancient family of the Moors. His sequel was too the Asiatics first. Why? Because they have been sinners since their departure from their forefathers' religion. O sinners, why don't you hear the soul of Islam ringing in your ears? The Prophet has said that if I were you, I would get ready before you were made to do so. Now come and pick up your forefathers and mothers' ancient and divine creed, which carries your national name. Indeed, it will entitle you to your rights, which you have been denied. Because in 1774, your light was cut off from the ancient Moors, and that's why Allah has sent us a prophet in 1886 to prepare the light that was out. In 1925, the prophet said, I have mended the broken wires and have connected them with the higher powers. So come on, Asiatics, don't you want to go? We were marching on to Canaan. I used to think that it was a city in the sky, but now I know it is here on earth. Don't you want your share? People of the divine and national movement should have it understood by this day and time that when the prophet was around, there was already marches. There was already millions of people, thousands to millions of people gathered through the divine and national movement, even before the prophet, with the liberation movement. One into the other. You read last week certain scriptures and verses. Certain scriptures and verses of things. About how we were supposed to come into our own vine and fig tree. But we got many that say they have been called in the name of Elo or Allah, that declare that God says this, that, and the third, especially for this day and time, when we read clearly last week that we're going into a beautiful age. Though you have a lot of people preaching and propagating doom and gloom. Now these are things that I have witnessed over this cyclic time frame that I'm making reference to earlier, because one thing I have noticed is that we recycle fear from one generation to the next, somewhat like a generational spell. Could be a generational curse, as some people call it. But these things do cycle down generation from generation. Now, if the prophet is riding around in a Cadillac in the early 20s, and then we go through a lot of events that happen after the fact, then we got to revisit this so-called I was a slave narrative. We're going to have to pay a revisit to this. Because that was opportune opportunity all around us. There were many departments of the Moorish Science Temple of America when things started. This is why the prophet told us, without a treasury, we're nothing as a people. It was the manufacturing department that was taking up all the economic weight of the movement. In this day and time, with all the technology we have access to, you should have better managers, stewards, and trustees of the economics of the movement. As I mentioned, we gather up in concert by the numbers, thousands of us. Thousands of us. But one thing I did see in that gathering that I mentioned last week, there was a sister, she said that just because you know the law don't mean you carry the spirit of anointness. I want to revisit that because as we see in the past, this is who Yahshua was up against during that time. They were called the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who Yahshua was going back and forth with. So I just want to give y'all some insight onto who they are, so we'll understand the internal issues that we face today as a people. True peace, Brother Jonathan, I'm about to bring you up.
Happy holiday.
Happy holiday. Happy holiday, no. All's well?
Yeah, I don't have any headphones, and I'm kind of, my Fridays still are not fully open yet. So I'm just being patient. But yeah, I want to listen in, but my headphones didn't get a good charge, so they didn't even turn it on. So I'll
No
see what
worries.
I can do. I'll be in the background here. So
I got you. Yeah, no worries. Just go through a space where you could have
yeah,
some serenity.
working. Yeah, it's serene. I ain't doing anything too strenuous. Um, but yeah, like working to have the more freedom to actually really be more present with it is ideal. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who still be working on Friday nights or whatever. You know, there's people all types of time schedules. Anyways, true peace. Thank you.
True peace. No, definitely understand. I wonder who else came in with you. I see 5, but I think you was the 4th person. Somebody else must have came in too. But whoever that was, peace, peace, peace. Happy holy day. But we're gonna jump right into what I was saying. So you had Yahshua going back and forth with the Pharisees, or the Parusim, which were a Jewish social movement and a school of thought in the Levant during the Second Temple of Judaism. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 770 Christ era time, Pharisaic beliefs became the foundational liturgical and ritualistic basis for rabbinic Judaism. It states conflicts between Pharisees and Sadducees took place in the context of much broader and long-standing social and religious conflicts among Jews, made worse by the Roman conquest. One conflict was cultural between those who favored Hellenization, the Sadducees, and those who resisted it, the Pharisees. Another was juridical, religious, between those who emphasized the importance of the temple and with its rites and services, and those who emphasized the importance of other Mosaic laws. A specifically religious point of conflict involved different interpretations of the Torah and how to apply it to current Jewish life, with Sadducees recognizing only the written Torah and rejecting prophets, writings, and doctrines such as the oral Torah and the resurrection of the dead. Josephus, believed by many historians to have been a Pharisee, estimated the total Pharisee population before the fall of the Second Temple to be around 6,000. He claimed that the Pharisees' influence over the common people was so great that anything they said against the king or the high priest was believed. Apparently, in contrast to the more elite Sadducees, who were the upper class, Pharisees claimed Mosaic authority for their interpretation of Jewish religious law, while Sadducees represented the authority of the priestly privilege and prerogatives established since the day of Solomon, when Zodok, their ancestor, officiated as high priest. Pharisees are notable by the numerous references to them in the New Testament. While the writers record hostilities between the Pharisees and Jesus, they also reference Pharisees who believed in him, including Nicodemus, who said, "It is known that Jesus is a teacher sent from God." Also Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple, and an unknown number of those of the party of the Pharisees who believed. Among them, the Apostle Paul, a student of Gamaliel, who warned the Sanhedrin that opposing the disciples of Jesus could prove to be tantamount to opposing God, even after becoming an apostle of Jesus. So the words Pharisees is derived from the ancient Greek pharisesos, from Aramic parisa, parasea, and Aramic, meaning set apart, separated, related to Hebrew parus or parusim. It says this may be a reference to their separation from the Gentiles, sources of ritual impurity, or from non-religious Jews. Alternatively, it may have a particular political meaning as separatists due to their division from the Sadducees elite. With Yitzhak Isaac Halevi characterizing the Sadducees and Pharisees as political sects, not religious ones. It says scholar Thomas Walter Manson and Talmud expert Louis Finkelstein suggest that Pharisees derive from the Aramic words parsa, meaning Persian or Persianizer, based on the demonym Parsi, meaning Persian, and the Persian language, and further akin to Parsa and Fars. Harvard University scholar Sheik J.D. Cohen denies this, stating practically all scholars now agree that the name Farsi derives from the Hebrew and Aramaic Parush or Parushi. And from what we know is actually coming from the word Pharaoh. So that also meant that they were of an elite class too, because it's also deriving and saying that they are the pharaohs in that day and time. So let's jump into the Sudaces. So we're gonna go into the Sudaces also, as well as the Essenes. And the reason for us going into this is, like I said, from what we're following up on last week, because it's the same thing when you run into a lot of these fanatical dogmatic groups that try to beat you up the head with certain biblical law and understanding, and you want to know where this comes from. So this is why we going into the details about it tonight. So I'm putting that in the chat for y'all, so y'all can check that out. And then we're gonna read into the Essenes, which is the sect that Jesus or Yeshua was considered to be a part of as well. All right, so you got all three of them in the chat. So for the Sadducees, Sudicum were a social religious sect of Jews active in Judea during the Second Temple period, from the 2nd century before Christ era through the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 Christ era. The Sadducees are often compared to other contemporary sects, including the Pharisees and the Essenes. Josephus, writing at the end of the 1st century Christ era, associates the sect with the upper social and economic echelon of Judean society. As a whole, they fulfill various political, social, and religious roles, including maintaining the temple in Jerusalem. The group became extinct sometime after the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 Christ era. So that's 70 AD. So the etymology of this word states, according to Abraham Gregor or Jaeger, the Sadducee sect of Judaism derived their name from Greek Zodok Sadukum, from that of Zodok, the first high priest of ancient Israel in the time of Solomon, to serve in Solomon's temple. The leaders of the sect were proposed as the Kohanim, priest of the sons of Zodok, descendants of Eleazar, son of Aaron. The name Zodok or Zadok is related to the root Sadak, to be right, just, which could be indicative of their aristocratic status in society in the initial period of their existence. The rabbinic work Avat of Rabbi Nathan tells the story of the two disciples of antagonists of Soko from 3rd century before Christ era, Zodok and Botus, antagonists, having taught the maximum, be not like the servants who serve their masters for the sake of the wages, but be rather like those who serve without thought of receiving wages. His students repeated this maximum to their students. Eventually, either the two teachers or their pupils understood this to express the belief that there was neither an afterlife nor a resurrection of the dead, and founded the Sudacy and Boethusian sects. They lived luxuriously, using silver and golden vessels, because, as they claimed, the Pharisees led a hard life on earth and yet would have nothing to show for it in the world to come. The two sects of the Sadducees and Boethusians are thus, in all latter rabbinic sources, always mentioned together, not only as being similar, but as originating at the same time. The use of gold and silver vessels perhaps argues against a priestly association for these groups, as priests at the time would typically use stone vessels to prevent transmission of impurity. Josephus mentions in Antiquus of the Jews that one Judas, a Galileanite of a city whose name was Gamala, who taken with him Zodok, a Pharisee, became jealous to draw them to a revolt. Paul L. Mayer suggests that the sect drew their name from the Zodok mentioned by Josephus. So we're going to go over a little history. So it's a lot of details from this end on the Sadducees. So the history states the Second Temple period is the period between the construction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem in 516 before Christ era, and its destruction by the Romans during the siege of Jerusalem 70 Christ era or AD. Throughout the Second Temple period, Jerusalem saw several shifts in rule. Alexander's conquest of the Mediterranean world brought an end to Persian control of Jerusalem from 539 through 334 or 333 before Christ era, and ushered in the Hellenistic period. The Hellenistic period, which extended from 334 or 333 before Christ era to 63 before Christ era, is known today for the spread of Hellenistic influence. After the death of Alexander the Great in 323 BCE before Christ era, his generals divided the empire among themselves, and for the next 30 years they fought for control of the empire. Judea was first controlled by the Ptolemaic Egypt from 301 to 200 BCE before Christ era, and later by the Seleucids of Syria from 200 to 167 before Christ era. Antiochus the fourth, Epiphanes of Syria, a Seleucid, disrupted whatever peace there had been in Judea when he desecrated the temple in Jerusalem and forced Jews to violate the Torah. Most prominent of the rebel groups were the Maccabees, led by Mattathias the Hasmonean and his son Judas Maccabus. Though the Maccabees rebelled against the Seleucids in 164 BCE, Seleucid rule did not end for another 20 years. The Maccabean, aka Hasmonean, rule lasted until 63 before Christ era, when the Roman general Pompey conquered Jerusalem, at which point the Roman period of Judea began, leading to the creation of the period of Roman Judea in 6 AD or Christ era, extending into the 7th century or Christ era, well beyond the end of the Second Temple period. While cooperation between the Romans and the Jews have been the strongest during the reigns of Herod and his grandson Herod Agrippa, the Romans moved power out of the hands of vassal kings and into the hands of Roman administrators. beginning with the census of Quirinius in 6 CE or Christ era or AD. The first Jewish-Roman war broke out in 66 Christ era. After a few years of conflict, the Romans retook Jerusalem and destroyed the temple, bringing an end to the Second Temple period in 70 Christ era. So there was a lot of beefing going back and forth after this knowledge got to who you would classify as the Pharisees, and then later on Sadducees, and then the Romans, and then the rest of the world. Especially after, as we just read, the conquest of Alexandria the Great, which takes you back to the Justinian Codex and things that happened during that time. So we can see where a lot of the religious controversy started, pinpointed, which causes controversies still to this day for many of our people, especially when they choose to associate themselves with a biblical tribe. So let's get into a little bit of the facts here. Sound like they over there beefing. Got the cats and the raccoons going at it. So I do want to jump to the Essene portion. I won't stick too long here on the Sadducees, but you all can read the rest of this, or we may come back to this knowledge sometime here in the future. May have to put these links also in the house that we have. So let's dive into the Essenes, and then we can come back to that here at a later date. Let me check space before we move forward. All right. So yeah, let's dive into this Essene portion. The Essenes, H.I.M, from Greek Essenoi, Esseoi, Osoio, Osaoi. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's supposed to be Greek. Were a mystic Jewish sect during the Second Temple period that flourished from the 2nd century BCE to the 1st century before Christ era. All right, so continuing on, it states the Jewish historian Josephus records that Essenes existed in large numbers. Thousands lived throughout Roman Judea. They were fewer in number than the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the other two major sects at the time. The Essenes lived in various cities, but congregated in communal life dedicated to voluntary poverty, daily immersion, and asceticism, which their priestly class practiced celibacy. Most scholars claim they seceded from the Zodok priests. The Essenes have gained fame in modern times as a result of the discovery of an extensive group of religious documents known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, which are commonly believed to be the Essenes Library. These documents preserve multiple copies of parts of the Hebrew Bible, untouched from possibly as early as 300 before Christ era unto their discovery in 1946. The first reference to the sect is by the Roman writer Pliny the Elder, who died in 79 Christ era, in his Natural History, which is a work by Pliny the Elder, the largest single work to have survived from the Roman Empire to the modern day. So that's some text by Pliny. Pliny relates in a few lines that the Essenes possesses no money, had existed for thousands of generations, and that their priestly class, contemplatives, do not marry. Unlike Philo, who did not mention any particular geographic location of the Essenes other than the whole land of Israel, Pliny places them somewhere above Ian Gedi, next to the Dead Sea. Josephus later gave detailed account of the Essenes in the Jewish War, with a shorter description and Antiquus of the Jews from 94 Christ era and the life of Flavius Joseph in 97 Christ era. Claiming firsthand knowledge, he lists the Essenoi as one of the three sects of Jewish philosophies, alongside the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He relates the same information concerning piety, celibacy, the absence of personal property and of money, the belief in community, and commitment to a strict observance of Sabbath. He further adds that the Essenes ritually immersed in water every morning, a practice similar to the use of the mikveh for daily immersion, found among some contemporary Hasidim. So they ate together after prayer, devoted themselves to charity and benevolence, forbade the expression of anger, studied the books of the elders, preserved secrets, and were very mindful of the names of the angels kept in their writings. Pliny, also a geographer, located them in the desert near the northwestern shore of the Dead Sea, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered. There were multiple minor subsects of the Essenes, including the Hermero Baptists, Ba'anaim, and disputedly the Margaria. So the etymology states Joseph uses the names Essenes in his two main accounts, the Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews. But some manuscripts read here Ession, holding the Essenes in honor. A certain Essene named Manavens to hold all Essenes in honor. In several places, however, Josephus has Essios, which is usually assumed to mean Essene. Judas of the Essios race, Simon of the Essios race, John the Essios, those who are called by us Essios, Simon, a man of the Essios race. Josephus identified the Essenes as one of the three major Jewish sects of that period. Philo's usage is Esseo, although he admits this Greek form of the original name that, according to his etymology, signifies holiness, to be inexact. Pliny's Latin text has Esseni. Gabriy'El Baccaccini implies that a convincing etymology for the name Essene has not been found, but that the term applies to a larger group within Judea that also includes the Qumran community. It was proposed before the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered that the name came into several Greek spellings from a Hebrew designation later found in some Dead Sea Scrolls. Osei HaTorah, doers or makers of Torah. Although dozens of etymology suggestions have been published, this is the only etymology published before 1947 that was confirmed by Qumran text self-designation references, and it is gaining acceptance among scholars. It is recognized as the etymology of the form of Oseo, and note that Philo also offered an O spelling in Eseo or Essini. And in Sini, spelling variations have been discussed by Vanderkam, Gorasan, and others. In medieval Hebrew, Sephra, Yosipon, Hasidim, the pious, replaces Essenes. While this Hebrew name is not the etymology of Eseo or Essini, the Aramic equivalent is Hesium, known from Eastern Aramic texts, has been suggested. Others suggest that Essene is a transliteration of the Hebrew word Hisonim, Hison, meaning outside, which the Mishnah or Megillah 4:8 uses to describe various certain sectarian groups. Another theory is that the name was borrowed from a cult of devotees to Artemis and Antolia, whose demeanor and dress somewhat resembled those of the group in Judaism. So y'all can dive into that. And they mention nothing about Yahshua being a part of this sect of Jews. You don't see nothing about Yahshua being a part of the sect of those groups. So the reason why we diving into that is because if you go into the Bible, you'll see this is who was questioning Jesus and testing Jesus' knowledge. You can make reference to that in Matthew 16, 1 through 12, the book of Matthew, which you can find one of those references for. So Matthew 16 states, the Pharisees and Sadducees came to Jesus and tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. He replied, when evening comes, you say it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, today it will be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah. Jesus then left them and went away. And that's Matthew 16,
Yeah,
verse 1 through 12 again. Go ahead, brother. True peace.
true peace. That's just kind of relating that to the situation on a global scale now with technology, kind of having that bird's eye view, global bird's eye view, how people be in the belly of the whale, so to speak. And just yeah, that was interesting. That was a
Yeah, you peeping that. Yeah, I see you peeping that. And I'm just walking down the same message that we went through last week on how we oppress each other, suppress each other, or try to persecute each other with these laws, and then say if you don't follow this law or that law, then you're not gonna make it to heaven, or you're gonna die, or all these things that people say that is declared by God. And so I'm going into the details about it, because just to, continue on from last week, because a lot of people don't get to really dive into these actual points of views from a realistic standpoint and the opinion of someone else, versus actually read this text for what it's actually saying, without trying to use it as a weapon for no apparent reason. Now you want to use it to measure yourself. That's okay. You want to use it as a tool to chisel yourself. That's okay. But when you start using it to beat down on other people, and declare what is right, or say what is to come based on someone from another faith and how they connect with their own vine and fig tree, then it gets out of hand. You start stepping into that sectism that we witnessed Yeshua had to go up against. And as I stated earlier, the sister that was in one of the in that gathering, she stated, well, just because you know the law real well don't mean that you carry that spirit of anointedness, of being anointed. So this is why we're going into this, because this next portion I'm about to read is called the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. And it states, when they went across the lake, the disciples forgot to take bread. Be careful, Jesus said to them. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. They discovered this amongst themselves and said, it is because we didn't bring any bread. Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked, you of little faith, why are you talking among yourselves about having no bread? Do you still not understand? Don't you remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000 and how many baskets you gathered? Baskets full you gathered? Or the 7 loaves for the 4,000 and how many baskets full you gathered? How is it you don't understand that I was not talking to you about bread? But be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Then they understood that he was not telling them to guard against the yeast used in bread, but against the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. So this is, hey brother, yes, blessed. You? Yeah, so this goes back to what I'm saying, because we find today among our Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters these Sadducees and Pharisee mentality. We find this behavior amongst them that we was warned against, that we was warned to watch out for, by the Messiah. And they will beat you up the head with the Bible, but these are one of the things the Messiah mentioned not to do. Yeah, we understand the law, but don't forget about the grace, as we talked about last week. That grace. So I want to go ahead and turn right back to not sure who came through. I want to go ahead and turn right back to the literature in the Holy Quran, Circle 7, before we jump into L's Holy Quran tonight. Right. So we read this before, plenty of times over. Read it again here tonight. The prophet states, in this age, there's still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers have come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it is the Ten Commandments. Others say there's a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the church. Still, others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, or whatever their final decision might be, it is certain they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth and not the real thing. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction. So they have done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. There are but few people who know what the truth is about man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. Although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on, being trained to jump through a hoop. The longer he stays in the schools, the better he can jump. The more he defends his jumping. From the east comes all light, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, the blind cannot see. The same as this, the same as the same as the Islamic creed from the east was brought to the Asiatics of America by the Prophet Noble Ali and offered to those who are sick at heart. Tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Nor is the Prophet trying to put new wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst. Still, he has the only remedy for the nation, the remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, and all the other prophets, which remedy is truth. The nations do not want the truth, it is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue to be religious controversy. So this is what Joshua was talking about during his day, Confucius during his day, even Muhammad during his day. And you had different sects of people, different beliefs. The Torah, same thing, which is reiteration of the pure pages, the book of generations and things like that, that came about. Then you had Moses come in and put it all into a summary. Same thing happened with the Qur'an from the mother of the scriptures. Katab, the mother scripture. Same thing. So when we start to oppress one another, especially by gender roles, and we miss a lot of the spiritual knowledge that's in the text, that's in the history. We miss a whole lot of pure wisdom getting caught into people's religious controversies. Miss a whole lot getting caught into people's religious controversies. So I just wanted to reiterate that from the prophet. We can jump right back into Holy Quran that we'll be getting into. That was Holy Quran here in a second.
True piece.
Troopers.
Yeah. My pops would always quote this one thing from the Bible growing up, and it's "So you offspring of vipers, how can you, being evil, express any good things? For the mouth speaks from that which fills the heart." Or it's like that. I guess there's a couple translations.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I like that one.
yeah. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of, and it's like if you look at I don't know. I don't know why I keep thinking of this documentary. I was watching this documentary about the salt movers, or in the Sahara. I don't know the name. You probably
Uh-huh.
know a lot more than I do. But they have, they have their trials and tribulations. They have their battles between different peoples. They have their, journeys that they go on to be able to accomplish that work, and that work's going to be there for what it is. Um, but then you got this massive world churning. The Matrix is churning, and it can be an urban jungle out here. And maybe it's that rift between Jesus having to go out and do what he did because things have to change, things have to evolve, and that back and forth rift. Same way you have a two-party democracy. Your Republican and Democrats, or like even I played in music in a band and learned all about how there's rift between bands a lot of times just to get people interested and know that there's drama going on, and take an ear and actually take part. So I don't know. It's a lot if people take it too seriously. True piece.
Yeah, it is. It is. Make me think of that part from Batman from the Joker. Why so serious?
Yeah,
you,
the mouth
you
speaks
gotta
what
be
the
able to
heart is
laugh.
full of. True piece. I think they're coming out with a new one for the Joker. The second, I think they're coming out with the second one with not Heath Ledger. He passed away. No, what's his name? I can't. I'm having a blank right now. Joaquin Phoenix. There we go. I think they're coming out with a second one that should expound on them being brothers and how he was like the poor and his brother was Bruce Wayne, the rich guy in Batcave. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh, that's gonna be wow. Okay, yeah, got to see that. I'll be looking forward to it. I can't think of that guy's name. Every time I be trying to say his, he did the remakes of the DC movies. Um, he remade. I think he remade the Justice League movies. Trying to think of his name. He did a good job on him too. And he extended. I think he extended the movies.
I'll have to check those out. I haven't seen any of those. I have to when they come across me, I'll take a listen or take a watch. Yeah, I haven't seen any of those.
Guy's name. I think it's not Justin. I know it started with a J. He did a remake. Let me get his name real quick. We jump to the circle 7 here. My phone moving up slow. It's moving like flash.
True peace.
Zack Snyder. That's the thing. Go ahead.
I was just thinking about how I said things have to change, and in reality, things are always changing. You know.
That's the revealing. That's right.
No man can step in the same river twice and be the same man, and nor the river be the same. That's the quote. You
That's right. That's right. What this revealing is about, the revealing of the knowledge. That's exactly right. Exactly right. It took me. That's crazy. I was all the way in the beginning of the book. It took me all the way back to the end of the book. It took me all the way back to the end of the book. So let's get into it. I thought of, I found what I was gonna read to us. Gotta get back to it. Get back to it. If we want to get this understood, that we got to start seeing beyond the controversies, especially things that have to do with hours of time, and look into the sacred wisdom. All right. So Jump into, I think this is chapter 9. It states, the fame of Jesus as a teacher spread throughout all the land, and people came near and far to hear his words of truth. At Bahar, on the sacred river of the Brahm, he taught for many days. And Ak, a wealthy man of Bahar, made a feast in honor of his guests, and he invited everyone to come. And many came, among them thieves, extortioners, and courtesans. And Jesus sat with them and taught. But they who followed him were much grieved, because he sat with thieves and courtesans. And they upbraided him. They said, Rabboni, master of the wise, this day will be an evil day for you. The news will spread that you consort with courtesans, and men will shun you as they shun an ox. And Jesus answered them and said, a master never screens himself for sake of reputation or of fame. These are but worthless babbles of the day. They arise and sink like empty bottles on a stream. They are illusions and will pass away. They are the indices to what the thoughtless think. They are the noise that people make, and shallow men judge merit by the noise. Allah and all master men judge men by what they are and not by what they seem to be, not by their reputation and their fame. These courtesans and thieves are children of my Father Allah. Their soul are just as precious in his sight as yours, or of the Brahmic priest. They are working out the same life sums that you have solved, you men who look at them with scorn. And some of them have solved much harder sums than you have solved, you men who look at them with scorn. Yes, they are sinners and confess their guilt while you are guilty, but are shrewd enough to have a polished coat to cover up your guilt. Suppose you men who scorn the courtesans, these drunkards and these thieves who know that you are pure in heart and life, that you are better far than they, stand forth that man may know just who you are. The sin lies in the the sin lies in the wish and the desire, not the act. You covet other people's wealth. You look at charming form, and deep within your heart you lust for them. Deceit you practice every day and wish for gold, for honor, and for fame, just for your selfish selves. The man who covets is a thief, and she who lusts is courtesan. You are none of these, speak out. Who are you? You who are none of these, speak out. Nobody spoke. The accusers held their peace. And Jesus said, the proof this day is against all those who have accused. The pure in heart do not accuse. The vile in heart who want to cover up their guilt with holy smoke of piety are ever loathing, drunkard, thief, and courtesans. The loathing and this scorn is mockery. For if the tinseled coat of reputation could be torn away, the loud professor would be found to reveal in his lust, deceit, and many forms of secret sin. The man who spends his time in pulling other people's weed can have no time to pull his own, and all the choicest flowers of life will soon be choked and die, and nothing will remain but darnel, thistles, and birds. And Jesus spoke a parable. He said, behold, a farmer had great fields of ripened grain, and when he looked, he saw the blades of many stalks of wheat were bent and broken down. And when he sent his reapers forth, he said, we will not save the stalks of wheat that have the broken blades. Go forth and cut and burn the stalks with broken blades. And after many days he went to measure up his grain, but not a kernel he could find. Then he called the harvesters and said to them, where is my grain? They answered and said, we did according to your word. We gathered up and burnt the stalk with broken blades, and not a stalk was left to carry to the barn. And Jesus said, if Allah saves only those who have no broken blade, who have been perfected in his sight, who will be saved? The accusers hung their head and shame, and Jesus went his way. So those who are usually behind the religious controversy and keep up these divisions, these divides and conquers tactics, are usually the same one who parakeet around about how righteous they are, how right they are, and how we should abide by laws that they themselves probably lust to break themselves, just as much as the people, or probably more than the people that they accuse of breaking the laws that are considered to be transgression and sin. Now, Yahshua is not promoting you to go out and be perverted or do anything that is considered unrighteous. But what he's getting at is that let nature or divine nature be the ultimate judge behind these people. You're supposed to have your discernment, but we're gathering up in groups, not tribes. Even us as Nubian Islamic Hebrews, which called ourselves or consider ourselves Ansars or Ansurullah, go back to the Nazarites, which take you further back into the Zodokites, the true descendants of those that are of the order of Zodok, the order of Melchizedek, the Melchizedek, Malachi Zodok, the angel of righteousness. Then you had the Zodok during Solomon's time. But Malachi Zodok, Melchizedek goes back to Abraham time, and technically before Abraham. So when we start making up these rules, especially to oppress other genders, we got to be wary of what is behind these things. So the same warning that the prophet is giving, I'm simply giving here 2,000 years later for you to be careful about who you gathering with. This is why the prophet said all he's doing is taking that knowledge from the ancient sages and putting it in today's time. That's it. That's all the prophet doing. prophet states, he has spent many hours preparing the latest edition of the Quran during that time, which will be a masterpiece of religious literature, which it was and is. To Americanize the Oriental ideal of Islam involves many changes that are more and less negative to the main purpose of the Islamic religion. Such changes are carefully considered with the ideal to avoid changing the complexion of the original text. The philosophy of the ancient prophets is the main initiative in the compilation of the Quran. No thoughts of propaganda enter this work, as has been the case of many former religious works, such as the Bible and other books of creeds. The sole purpose of the prophet in giving such a message to the world is to save humanity. When a compiler attempts to inject propaganda into a work of this kind, there arises a need to cover the true text in order to prevent a clash with the truth and ideals involved in such propaganda. Former works of this kind have either hindered or helped the nations proportionately to the adherence to the truth as the original purpose of keeping the ignorant in such a state. It is hard to resist the temptation to use this medium for gain. Hence, many of the former treaties on works of this kind have been the means to foster ideas of the unscrupulous, wherein they desire to use religious influence for gain. The many secrets known to the prophet that could be used for the salvation of the nation were either left out or colored to an extent that their meaning was made void. Such is not the case with this edition of the Quran. All the secrets of the ages known to man are put into this work. The secrets known only to the Magi are here revealed. The reading of the stars, the interpretation of marriage relations, the understanding of the span of life, and other such has been kept from the Occidental world are in this book boldly brought out. The Quran, Americanized as it will be, can be brought in a few weeks. It will be sent to all governors of the Moorish Science Temple of America by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So the Prophet put the wisdom of the ages in the Holy Quran Circle 7. So this long unrested battle of ancient and modern day controversies are still at hand to this day, and people use these topics to popularize their fanatical, dogmatic, and controversial groups. Still to this day, we end up battling with those about the dogma, the fanaticism, and whatever else comes to be controversial for the moment. So we're gonna jump into Circle 7, not Circle 7, but L's Holy Quran for tonight. Going to the chapter for tonight's reading. See, as we move past these controversies, we move into a place of unity amongst ourselves as a people globally. So we're going to open up tonight with chapter 12, revealed in the year 613 AD, called Al Inshura or Shura, which means the expansion. It was originally chapter 12. They changed it to chapter 94 in the mistranslation. And as we do, we begin our prayers and thinking by using the name of the source, Allah, the Rahman, who is the most merciful. The commentary states the Elohim Anunnaki expanded Muhammad's chest and they relieved him of his burden. They also raised his character. With difficulty, there is ease. Muhammad, when you all finish with your duties, so work hard to return to your Rabb. So the ayats read, or the verses read, didn't we not he, Anunnaki Elohim, Nashra, expand your Muhammad's Sarir, chest, and we, Elohim Anunnaki, relieved you, Ahmad, of all the burdens that surrounded you, which weighed down heavy on your Zara, back, and we, Elohim Anunnaki, Rafa'ah, raised your Ahmad's character, so that you too will be remembered for all time. So surely, with our Usra, difficulty, there is Yusran, ease. Surely, with our Usra, difficulty, there is Yusr, ease. So when you, Muhammad, Farakta, have finished with the duties of your mission, then you must Ansat, work hard and desire to return to your Ra or sustainer. Surika Alahu El Azim. So when you're done with the mission, Muhammad, to get this message out to the people about how they are to gather themselves as a community and live their life in consecration of that divine community, then return to going within yourself, getting closer to the divine creator for yourself. You was already immortalized. You as a being has been immortalized. So when the mission is done, go ahead and go on that spiritual journey. Even though the Prophet Mustafa Muhammad Al-Amin was cut short in that journey. So I think we should go ahead and read chapter 14 since it's so short. No, I'm sorry, chapter 13 since it's I say 13 and 14 because they are real short chapters. So chapter 13, called Al Asa, the squeezing, was changed to 103 by mistranslation. As we do, begin our prayers and thinking by using the name of the source, Allah, the Rahman, who is the most merciful. And the ayat read, Al Asa, the squeezing of Inosight soul, it will be squeezed from his body. Surely this is the age when the Insan or Inosight are overcome by Qusur, defeat, except for those who are faithful and Amil, work to Al-Salihat, perfect their being, and are advocates of Al-Haq, the facts, and are advocates of Al-Sabah, patience. Surika Allahu El Azim. So this is saying the truth, not just the law, the truth. The law will be written on our hearts, but you still have to judge according to the heart, not just based on the concept of law. There are more things that will be added into that for you to have discernment, especially proper discernment. So chapter 13 was revealed in 613 AD, and chapter 14 was revealed in 614 AD. We're gonna read this one here next, called Al Adiyat, which means the horseman or the apocalypse, and it was changed in the mistranslation to chapter 100. As we do, begin our prayers and thinking by using the name of the source, Allah, the Rahman, who is the most merciful. The commentary states the four horsemen of apocalypse, they will attack at the early daytime hour. They will penetrate in the midst of the gathering. The Inosites is canoed to his rod. He is Sharid for the love, which he sees as good. The graves will be scattered. Their master is Kabir of all their actions. And the ayats read, and Al Adiyat, the swift, panting horses, were the four horsemen of apocalypse. Then those who strike forth sparks of fire from their hoofs. Then those that will attack at the subh, early daytime hour. Consequently, they will cause much dust to fly in the air. Then they will penetrate thereby the midst of the Jama gathering. Surely Al Insan, the Innosite, is verily canoed, ungrateful to his rod, sustainer. And surely he, the Innosite, is a Shaheed, watcher to that. Surely he is Sharid, forceful for the love of what he sees as Khair, good or good. Doesn't he, the Innosite, knows of the time when the Kabur, tombs, or graves will be scattered and all will rise up, and the secrets that are kept in the Sadur, chest, shall be made to Usila, manifest? Surely on that day, the Arab, who is master and sustainer, will be Kabir, aware of them, all of their acts. Surika Allahu El Azim. So we just read about that just a second ago, about that time. So you got a lot of people who are huffed up and puffed up with knowledge, as it states in the Quran, Circle 7 Quran, in the scriptures, etc., and not divine love. As we know, divine love is the highest knowledge in the universe. So instead of trying to know it all, you should be trying to love and be in the love of the all, as the love of the all shall be in you. All right, so we do got a lot of short chapters here, so we're gonna probably go through 3 of them at a time. So I know we just read 12, 13, It's now 14. We'll come back, read 15, 16, 17. Very short. That kicked off now in the weeks to come. Say 7 people came in the room. I ain't even see them. But you know, I can't see while I'm reading and going between things. Say 7 people came in already. That's good. Be good to have them stop by, put something in the chat. Nonetheless, happy holy day to all who came through. So I'm gonna change the link at the top of the room. Prepare for us to go into the holy instructions. I'm gonna go ahead and reset the room real quick before we jump into the next segment. I should have done that before we went into the readings for the night. So, welcome to Branch Temple number 24, World Temple. We are a global branch temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a globally chartered and incorporated temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed so that they will learn to love that are hate. Y'all can join us by clicking that block of words at the top that says World Temple. We'll also be placing the replays and recordings on YouTube, so those that are listening, that will be listening through YouTube, I'm gonna give high honors to you all as well that is listening from the YouTube community or wherever you may be at. There may be people that's sharing this video on other platforms or this recording on other platforms, especially in the future. So I want to give all honors and gratitude for those that are listening to the knowledge and the wisdom that's being conveyed and delivered through transmission today. And with that, let's go ahead and go into preparing for the holy instruction. Open up for any current events that we want to discuss. And I might change the link at the top of the room, y'all. Wait, the nice message. But I want to open it up, like I say, for any controversial topic. There's a lot going on. Got some acts that's being put in place, fed now. A lot of different things that people have been talking about here through the grapevine throughout the week. Link to the school at the top of the room. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, there's been many things that's been coming through the grapevine. People have been talking about, especially about a lot of the laws that's been passed and what's coming through fruition, and a lot of news about the SEC going back and forth with a lot of these crypto projects that's out here. Different states are breaking off, wanting to become their own country, like Texas.
Pardon the body.
True peace. Go ahead. Floor's open.
Yeah, I've been kind of curious about the whole thing. I know it's been a few months since that FTX happening, and I've been doing my best to stay away from these crypto coins, other shit coins, and just kind of look at BTC as a framework, foundational framework. But like looking at it just based on processing and efficiency, long term, what's it grounded in, and the long term purpose. I don't know the whole mechanics, of the layerings of how the um, certain coins be working. My view is it's leeching on the system of Bitcoin, but I don't know how that works, so to speak. And yeah, just like looking forward to how to proceed cautiously without, or without getting overwhelmed by the different moves. Because I mean, like the cell phones are even starting to, Gmail is wanting your phone number, maybe to make it easy for you to be able to know who's who and you're not getting hacked. But there's also a flip side to that too. So I don't know. Like all the numbers
Yeah, it
are
is.
connected to bank accounts and everything's starting to get connected with the ID systems, and it's that rulership that what's it looking to rule long term, what's the long view. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The the discernment you have to have got to be at an all-time high, and this level of self-protection, protecting yourself, through all that, um, is very important. But yeah, nonetheless, this is why kind of just understanding the basics of investments is proper. And then if you get a chance, have you ever read the Bitcoin white paper?
I think briefly a long time ago, but I didn't really I didn't digest it fully back then um properly. I've been kind of, because I mean, I know that they've had a currency back in the day, but it didn't have like the three layerings that Bitcoin provided to really give that maximum decentralized efficiency with the what's it called, the protection, and the visibility of where things are going, which I think is important if you're looking at all the mishaps that have happened because of people embezzling money or blackmailing and all this other stuff. Um, but
Right.
yeah, just being um, aware of there's a flip side. I'm just real big on not being fearful of my environment because that'll just magnetize, like in the Avatar movie. I'm pretty big on that. I view that as a reality. Is that if you're
That's
afraid,
right.
things will start pulling in on you. And I think that's what a lot of people I think are missing, and a lot of people gotten hurt by that too. Um,
Yeah, because that's actually what the a part of what tonight's message was about. Because as a man think it, as a man or woman think it, so be it. So you're constantly thinking about those issues and things that cause you to fear. This is actually what you will magnetize in life. So this is why I was saying people that like to state that, well, the Lord declares this, and if you don't do this, you're gonna die. Well, how do you know, sir? You see, because you got a lot of people that do a lot of controversial things or unrighteous things on the planet, but they're still alive. They're still living and breathing. They're still walking and getting up the next day to do, more ungodliness. So, uh, and as it's stated, Allah watches over them too. The divine intelligence watches over them too as well. But yeah, whatever you focus your mind's eye on, it will magnetize. So like I say, you want to have your discernment, but there's ways to kind of navigate through these things and still maintain your privacy and your privacy at the same time. So you still have the participation to where you can participate in some of these privileges and then also maintain a certain level of privacy for yourself. So that's why I say, just when you get a chance, take a look at the Bitcoin white paper and just start getting into the basics of investments and also look into asset protection for yourself. Because as we read a couple of weeks back, we also still want to make sure we invest in not just in crypto or mainly Bitcoin, understanding its placement for the future for the benefit of the people, but also gold, just pure gold and even silver and other precious metals, and us, working in a community structure. Did you get a chance to check out that Forex link I sent you that day?
Yeah, I did. I'm just kind of, I've got like 5, 6 different projects, and they all kind of stumble upon each other as I go. Eventually, a
Totally
smooth
understand.
flowing process will come from it. But
Nah, I
yeah, I got it.
totally
Thank you.
understand. Yeah, that's for you to check out. Get into the trading space whenever you're ready for it. At least, um, open up that paper account and demo account, and practice and build that skill set up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing over the last few meetings. Is kind of just delving in and practicing. The demo is really where it's at. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm gonna go about it long term. Lock into something, because it definitely takes it's like navigating a spaceship, and there's a lot of different aspects of the spaceship. It's not just about the finances. There's other apps out here, drawing apps and art apps. And, yeah, being here is awesome, because it's like it brings it back down to earth. Yeah, and the world temple holy day creating beings. Is what I'm saying. It's like brings it back to the civic. It's important. I don't know if it's just the realm we've created is very protected because of the way the civics have been designed to only allow a few to be able to participate. But when you have cloud dynamics, I think it needs to be opened up to people being able to have that freedom to move and participate in uplifting ways, but it has to be grounded within the actual truth that people are able to expound on within their sphere of resonance through the, writing apps or the blogging apps or, social media.
That's right. That's right.
It's like I
Definitely
feel
with
like I
you on
can't
that.
be I can't unify if I'm stupid about it still too. So I'm here to learn.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and get your fundamentals down pat. Because once you understand the fundamentals, everything else that comes after will kind of just fold into itself, how it needs to. So one thing I do want to read that may be used as a form of suppression, but doesn't necessarily have to be used that way, comes from Numbers 27:16 through 17, and it states, "Let the Lord, the God of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out. and which may bring them in, that the congregation of the Lord be not as sheep which have no shepherd. So, as we know, the congregation is the bride, which is still the feminine aspect in this manner, and seen as the divine, and the masculine, if we want to describe it that way, man being set over the congregation. So naturally, we know that the divine feminine always picks the leader. This is why in the book of Revelations, it also refers to the congregation as a bride. We must be ready as a bride, as a congregation, ready for the groom, ready for the divine masculine energy that will lead us into the future. So it's also meaning simple that the divine intelligence always appoints someone to go before his or her people and mediate between them and the divine intelligence. Someone to lead them so they're not just lost sheep with no shepherd. Same thing that happened with the Messiah and other prophets beforehand. And you can make reference to that in the book of Samuel, Samuel 9:9. So some would actually take that also as a way to say that, well, the man is supposed to lead the congregation. And that's so it may be, but it doesn't say that a woman still can't lead in no shape, no form, or fashion. There will always be someone, whether it's a man or a woman, appointed to lead the flock. Just as we have in the scriptures of the Old Testament, where there was women that took lead. But nonetheless, we're going to get right into these holy instructions for tonight. Hope you all are enjoying your holy day this week. Brush yourselves up. I don't know what's going on with that. I want to see that activity. But hope y'all enjoying y'all week tonight, y'all holy day, enjoying it with your family. We are here in this mental reservoir, getting the divine transmission to come through. And we're going to jump into these holy instructions so we can go ahead and enjoy the rest of our holy day. So we know civics education is the study of theoretical, political, and practical aspects of citizenship, as well as its rights and duties. This includes the study of civil law, civil code, and the study of government, but with the attention on the roles of the citizens as opposed to the external factors in the operation of government. Tonight we went over our civic virtues, which is the cultivation of our habit, not custom. We also went over our civic engagement, how we ought to engage with one another as well, especially by reading certain texts from the Circle 7 Holy Qur'an, which states how we ought to engage with one another. And as you know, Friday is the holy day. Oh, you who know, when the call is proclaimed to supplication on Friday, the day of assembly, hasten earnestly to the remembrance of the Heavenly Father and Divine Mother, and leave off business and traffic. That is best for you if you but knew. And when prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land and seek the bounty of God and celebrate the praises of God of 10 and without stint, that ye may prosper. All chaplaincy, temple services, and meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the circle 7. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is our holy day for all Muslims and peacemakers all over the world. This is according to Act 2 of the Divine Constitution and bylaws by the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, which states all temples and subordinate temples are to conduct holy day service every Friday, starting promptly at their respective time and ending promptly at their respective time. All civilians, patrons, denizens, prospects, and ministers are expected to attend the temple for the Friday holy day temple service and meeting. On Fridays, the Moorish American, Moorish Asian, and Moorish African Muslims and peacemakers all come together to supplicate and to illustrate that which Allah has blessed them with. The temple services are open according to divine love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. At no time will templars, adepts, ministers, patrons, or outside congregational guests be allowed to disrupt the holy day service, nor will civilians be admitted under the influence of alcohol or any severe intoxicants. All templars, adepts, and civilians attending the holy day service must have their heads covered with either a turban, fez, or kufi, or spiritual covering. Baseball caps should not be worn in the temple or during temple service. The Sunday school temple service and meeting is mandatory, and all Moorish national templates and temple denizens must promptly attend the temple service and send their children to the Sunday school gathering. The teacher must conform himself and herself to the temple one-on-one questionnaire and let every civilian man, woman, and child exercise his or her 5 senses, who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation and now the entire global village. According to Act 5 of the additional bylaws, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, every subordinate temple should have 2 Sunday school gatherings held. The meeting should be held 1 to 2 hours before the adult service. Children's Sunday school should be conducted by a director of the Children's Sunday School and programs. The Sunday school gathering is designed to assist the temple in learning the temple one-on-one questionnaire and developing an understanding of just what these holy keys mean and how they are to be applied to our everyday lives. The Divine Constitution and bylaws, along with the Moorish prayer, the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'aan, and the civic editions or lessons of the Holy Temple of Moorish Science are also subjects of major concern for the apprentice who is trying to complete his or her mandatory requirements for pronouncing their temple civilianship and global nationality. All lessons for the adult Sunday school gathering must be prepared by a Grand Sheik, a divine minister, and or assistant Grand Sheik. Lessons called by us novites additions may be submitted to the apprentice for completion and returned to the temple. Once the lessons are completed and graded, they must be placed in the active members' temple district file. The Sunday school temple service and meeting is a wonderful opportunity to study the liturgy teachings of the prophet. No civilian is to become disruptive during the Sunday meeting. All templars must bring paper and pen to the temple service and meeting along with the basic temple literature and assignment. No templars or patrons to eat food or other snacks during the temple service or meeting, but water is permitted. All templars must attend their Sunday temple service and meetings as diligently as they attend their holy day temple service and meeting. Both are called out for by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and is required as a matter of temple law. According to the Divine Constitution, Act 7, in part, all templars must promptly attend their temple services and meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and now also Moorish Science Temple of Africa and Moorish Science Temple of Asia, and enjoining world islands on behalf of all indigenous peoples. For membership, any heads of temple of all temple jurisdiction are not charged for naturalization or to charge for overcharge for cards, buttons, or anything issued by and through the prophet. Those who contribute to any of the proceedings are not Moors, civilians, or patrons, but robbers. Temple nationality and membership in the Holy Temple's vast estate or public beneficiary trust, sisters and brothers, kin and kinfolk, is free, not only here, but all over the world. All kin and kinfolk desiring to become a civilian of a subordinate temple must follow these instructions from the temple secretary and acquire the application for naturalization found here on our temple website that we had pinned at the top of the room just earlier. The secretary of the temple jurisdiction will help all newcomers by explaining the naturalization affidavit and application for membership in the temple's vast estate, or what we call a public beneficiary trust, to the new prospective civilians of the temple's vast estate, or public beneficiary trust and arranging for him or her to be consulted by the royal council of said temple or subordinate temple. The royal chairman or woman will set the date for the new temple prospect to be interviewed by the royal council. The new temple court civilian, upon completion of the royal council's consultation at the newcomers gathering or Sunday school gathering on Sunday, the new templars will proclaim their temple nationality at the next upcoming Holy Day temple gathering. After the new civilian prospect proclaims his or her nationality, they will be given the mandatory requirements necessary to earn their free national name and true royal title of nobility as a true American royal. These requirements are as follows, and in accordance with chapter 47 of the Moorish Circle 7 Holy Qur'an, called Egypt the capital dominion of the Empire of Africa, chapter 25 of the Moorish Qur'an, called the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, the Moorish Prayer, including the one-on-one Qur'an questions for Moorish Americans, Asians, and Africans, the Divine Constitution and bylaws, the additional laws, and the precepts, statutes, and ordinances from El's Holy Torah, El's Holy Injiyl, El's Holy Qur'an, the Holy Tabernacle Family Guide, and also the Holy Tablets through our Civics 101 course in the Global Interdependent School District and Sacred Halls of Learning, which is called New University by us of the Holy Temples of Moorish Science for everyone of the global village. Once a new civilian or template has learned these additions or lessons verbatim or to the best of their ability, he or she will be interviewed by the Temple's Royal Council as the chaplaincy to determine if the new civilian is qualified to represent himself or herself as a faithful Moorish American, Moorish African, and Moorish Asian Muslim, or any indigenous peacemaker, and communicate it to the ignorant for their instructions, and communicate it to the wise for thine own improvement. Once the new civilian or template has cleared the mandatory requirements with the Royal Council, he or she will be naturalized by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister of said subordinate temple. So it is just that simple and easy to get involved and enroll yourself with the nation state of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is a sovereign theocratic government body politic. So that means it's global. That means it's throughout the whole entire universe. It's universal. That means this is something that's universal. I also put in the house this past week the Universal Moorish Empire Treaty that I've issued for us through Branch Temple number 24 as a officially chartered temple, acknowledging our sovereign theocratic government as a universal empire, kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. There can be many kingdoms, many empires established, tribes, etc. through these branch temples. There's much that can be done. But there's still one temple, one prophet, simple and plain. All temples together make up the grand major temple. So these are the holy instructions for you to enroll yourself and proclaim and change your status. This is how you actually change status. Not all these procedures that a lot of people tell you to go through that have nothing to do with helping you change your status. All right, so we're going to jump into the nationality procedure and proclamation of one's nationality, which we call our holy shahada. Some call it a baptismal, etc. But this will be held on Holy Day for all civilians, denizens, templates, peacemakers, or Muslims all over the world. During the ceremony, the new civilian and templates will be ordained in El Bay or Day and given his or her royal peerage title of Khan, Honorable Lady, Noble Nin, Nanya, Prince or Princess, by a Grand Sheik and or Divine Minister, and also receive his or her nationality card and button from the Divine Minister of the Grand Major Temple. Upon conclusion of the nationality proclamation, the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister will have the civilian, template, and temple prospect stand while he or she reads the authority of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It is by virtue of the Religious Corporation Act document that can be found in Herod's Revised Statutes that gives the Moorish Science Temple of America, Asia, and Africa the authority to restore the nationality and birthrights of the lost Asiatics of America, Asia, Africa, and all world islands, and give them the title to their vast estate and their heritage. The Grand Sheik and or Divine Minister is to read from the card and have the new national state, Allah is God, and Noble Drew Ali, the Prophet. I am Moorish American, African, and or Asian, and or world islander. This is our Moorish clarification of faithful Shahada and our national pledge of allegiance. The new civilian or template's free national name should then be added to the Temple's Book of Life as they enroll in the Civics 101 course and our complimentary World Civics Club. The nationality ceremony should be conducted by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister or any other Divine Minister so designated by the Grand Sheik and Divine Minister in his or her time of absence, and most notably by the Assistant Grand Sheik and Divine Minister. The nationality card and naturalization application must be signed bearing the name and title of the Grand Sheik or Divine Minister who issued the application and card, and the date of its issuance. The Religious Corporation Act has deemed the Global Interdependent School District and the Incorporated and Chartered Moorish Science Temple of America, Africa, and Asia as a religious trust and theocratic government established in 1928 on August 20th. This religious trust is the true global trusteeship for the Holy Family of Nations, forming the global numbers. So there's access to world passports, etc., for you to operate on a global level for yourself. Now, there's some things that you want to do, especially for your other legal documents. You do want to authenticate your legal documents in your local state or area, such as the world passport, things like that, that establishes your global nationality. And with your local temple, you just want to make sure that you are put on the local county records along with the members of that temple and subordinate temples of that temple. Just that simple. You don't have to authenticate your birth certificate. No, that's not what that means. That's not what I mean. Any document that is not a lawful and acknowledged document, such as a world passport or world citizen ID, things like that, for you to be established as an official global citizen, world citizen, those things have to be authenticated into law. Not your birth certificate, which is already coming from the same jurisdiction that you're trying to get to authenticate, and all these other things that people run into when they're trying to go down this path. So with that, we're going to close out with our mandatory literature for the night. First, I want to read the messages from the prophet to the members of the temple or the divine and national movement. The prophet left us with some instructions that directly concern you all. So I want to get into that first. We get into those mandatory literature tonight. Trust that one will be enjoying the rest of that holy day. The replays and the recordings will be available on YouTube here. If not tonight, by this Sunday, we'll have it up. Let's go ahead and get into this message from the prophet to the temple members. Islam. The prophet say, be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deed that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah through his divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sin. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. True peace, your divine prophet, Zabuwr Ali. All right, y'all. So keep being consistent, keep showing up, keep coming in and tapping into this divine mental reservoir. There's a lot of things that we are getting done here in the background, and we'll be preparing for rolling out the next wave of what we have to offer the world. But next, I want to go ahead and extend the olive branch to those that need a temple home, those that are listening. As I say here all the time, y'all want to listen to everything, listen to all the different parts of these messages that come through. And we are extending that olive branch to you all, so you have the opportunity to join here with us in our divine and national movement, in these divine work that we are doing through the Moorish Science Temple of America. Become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America, especially those that need a spiritual home. We're extending the olive branch to you. Those that are looking to follow their divine purpose and they feel that they need to be around active indigenous people that are on the right track, we're extending the olive branch to you here tonight. So with that, I'm going to go into the messages that the prophet has spoken to the nation. The prophet speaks to the nation. The prophet states, if you have race pride and love your race, join the Moorish Science Temple of America and become a part of this divine movement. Then you will have power to redeem your race because you will know who you are and your forefathers were. Because where there is unity, there is strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. Come, good people, because I, the prophet, sent to redeem this nation from mental slavery, which you have now, need every one of you who think that your condition can be better. This is an open field to strong men and women to uplift the nation and take their place in the affairs of men. If the Europeans and other nations are helping me, why not you? It is your problem. The Negro problem is being solved only as it can, and that is by the Moorish National Divine Movement. If you have a nation, you must have a free national name in order to be recognized by this nation as an American citizen. This is what was meant when it said, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all these things will be added unto you. By the prophet. All right, y'all, so let's jump into the mandatory literature. Let's jump into this mandatory literature for the night. The prophet wants us to read. Like, what is that? The prophet wants us to read this in every meeting to all the peacemakers. The prophet said, I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We're for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your card at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, true peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deed. All true Moors will and must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found them. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Zabuwr. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. True peace, Zabuwr. But then I'm gonna change the link at the top of the room real one more time. For those that are looking to join us, you can click that block of words at the top that says World Temple and join us. Welcome to Branch Temple number 24 of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are a globally chartered and incorporated temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed so they will learn to love instead of hate. Come link yourselves with the family of nations. That'll be the last precept tonight. We're going to close it out with our last mandatory message from the prophet, last mandatory warning from the prophet, and also with the Moorish prayer. Any last contributions for tonight? All right, so let's get into this last mandatory message from the prophet. To be proclaimed in every temple meeting and every temple service. Islam, the prophet say, I'm glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds, the ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement, will be remembered. That's why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world would not recognize the movement without me, the prophet, being here. It has been proven by my work, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Zabuwr. So with that, we're gonna go into our Moorish prayer. Any last contributions? Just me and Brother John. I don't know if you want to make any last contributions, no, but I'm gonna read the prayer. From here, I'm gonna close this on out.
True peace. It looks like Yah Joy is in the room too.
I sent you an invite, Joy. In case you want to make any contributions or any questions you want to ask, okay.
Yah's Joy. Get my spirits up.
God's joy. That's God's joy right there. That's true peace. Well, I will say this for tonight, as I say for the message that we had today, the transmission that we had today. Grace was the first part of the message, but to reiterate things that we've talked about this past year, avoid the religious controversy at all costs, especially in this day and time, because there's enough distractions out here already as it is. And it's that little voice in the wilderness. It's not about being right and who's right, but are you on the right track? Being on the right path, the sarat, making sure you are on that right path. That's how your righteousness is measured. As it says, how can you get the jot out of my eye until you get or the tilt out of my eye until you get the jot out of your eye? As mentioned, I think in the book of James. So beware of people who beating people up with the scriptures and the text. This is about the love. Love is the highest knowledge, not those that are puffed up with the knowledge. And we getting back, we getting into spat about who can lead, what gender can lead. We know, as I just read Numbers, I think that was what Numbers. Hope it's still here. Yeah, that was Numbers 27:16, where it says a man shall lead the congregation. And if you understand the metaphor, even in the New Testament, the congregation is still representing the divine feminine aspect of things, while the man that is appointed to lead is representing the divine masculine. So we still have to understand those divine laws of nature still at play in an air. And that doesn't mean, because it doesn't say nowhere in the context of those that chapter, that a woman can't be a leader either, which you also have discussed throughout the Old Testament as well. Different women that came and led nations and armies, people even. Um, so like I say, be careful with that, because grace is the one part. Allow people that grace, and as we say, we accept this fact that we respect people, their religion, their race, and what their background and where they come from. But also avoid the religious controversies, because they'll beat you up with the same principles and tell you not to do something, but that's secretly what they're doing, or even lusting for, as just read in Holy Quran, Cycle 7 earlier. But with that, I yield. Sister Joy, you got any contributions you want to make tonight? Anything you want to put in the atmosphere? The floor is open, sister, before we close out. Shalom.
Shalom and blessing. No, just honor to be in the room and just to be able to glean. So I just yield the mic, and I'm just thankful for being in the midst of um, kings tonight.
Appreciate greatly, dearly. So I'm gonna jump into this prayer, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all holy day with y'all family. Love on them. We tapped into that mental reservoir as we do. Like I said, stay consistent. Keep doing the work. That was the message from the prophet. And as I say, they gather up by the thousands over religious controversy, the same way the Pharisees and Sadducees did, as we read about. The links are in the chat. Even the sect that Yahshua was a part of, which is the Essenic branch, they gathered by the thousands to debate with the Messiah over these same things, and forgot the portions of the Old Testament that talked about grace, or that mentioned grace, or that talked about love, and that mentioned love, patience, tranquility, all these different things, and understanding from a divine perspective, because they tell you we're not supposed to celebrate certain ceremony, but then what separated Joseph, as I mentioned last week, from those certain things? What separated Prophet Daniel from doing certain things that are considered disgrace or looked down upon? So maintain your spiritual discernment, and as it said earlier, what we read, be weary of the yeast of the bread that comes from that mentality of Sadducees and Pharisee mentality, whether it's the Sadducees, those that are the extended branch of the Zodokites, like I say, not just Zodok from Solomon, but Melchizedek, the angel of righteousness, and also the Pharisees, which they say means, some say it means the Persian or Persianized, but it also is symbolic of those that are pharaonic in their behavior and in their interpretation of the scriptures. So we also want to take heed to that, which is also saying that basically that they are an elite class, just as they consider the Sadducees to be those that are right, the righteous. So with that, we're gonna jump into the prayer. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all holy day with the family. Go back, listen to those replays, or just type in World Temple on YouTube so that way you can listen to our other sermons. This is actually sermon number 61 that we have just completed here tonight. And we doing things. We're gonna keep growing. We are that small remnant of people in the wilderness. That's that little voice in the wilderness that's screaming out and blowing the trumpet about the right knowledge, the right wisdom for the right understanding. And we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, so that they may learn to love instead of hate. So come get some of this ancient wisdom, because it's not about who got the most knowledge and who knows the most of the law. And as the sister stated, as I pointed out, it's not about how much of the law you know, but how much of that anointedness you have on you. Even the prophets in the Old Testament and in old times were anointed. Even Moses was made to be a deity or God or Elohim or Yahweh over the people. So with that, let's get into this prayer. Y'all know how it go. Facing the east, feet at a 45-degree angle. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation by night and by day through His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Amen. All right, one more thing before I go. They keep getting on y'all about this word Allah. Please let them know the word Allah is the same as Elo. 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 ALLAH is the same as ELOHE. It is the same word Semitically. There is no difference between Elohim and Allah or Allahumma, the Elohim and the source. It's a bunch of controversy. They try to say it's different gods and this, that, and the third. That word just means source. So if you're talking tribally, especially when you get to talking tribally, people could be talking about a different Allah. But when we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're talking about the source. We're talking about Aliyun, El, simple and plain. And with that, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night and y'all holy day. Happy holy. You want to say something before I close out, Brother John? True peace.
Yeah, you just brought up, I think originally Baal, Yahweh, and El were tribe names. Like those, you made me think of that. But Baal, Yahweh, and El weren't like deities. They were actual names for tribes. Like that's El. That's that group over there. You know what I mean? And from that, things shift. That's a whole sermon right there. That's a whole lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely get. Go ahead. Go ahead, Noble. I'm sorry, I mean cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. I was turning out here or tapping out.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, because that definitely is a whole lesson. We can talk about it this next holy day, or probably this Sunday gathering about that. But those did make references for, like I said, if we talking tribally, those were names for the divine creator at that time. And as we read this past holy day last week, people see God different from his different angles. Some might be looking at the foot, some might be looking at the yod, the hand of God. Some might be looking at the face, presence, what you call the presence of God. So just understanding and respecting these different aspects, and as we say, we accept this fact. We here to respect people's languages, their cultures, their background, simple and plain, where they come from, and expect the same. So with that, like I said, divine love, hua. See y'all next week. Why do y'all? Much love. True peace.